Hello scholars, this is Mrs. Majors from Heron High School. Today we're going to do skill 6, function operations. Sorry. Alright, so first thing first, let's learn about some vocabularies together. When I say the sum, difference, product, and quotient, do you know what those are? Hopefully, yes, you do know what those are. Usually we use those operations with numbers, right? So when I say product of 3 and 8, you do 3 times 8. You multiply together. Quotient means dividing. So you all know what those means. We're going to do the same thing with function this time, okay? So let's say we have f of x and g of x. You can also do all those 4 operations with the function. So how do you find the sum of f and g? Yeah, you are literally going to add f of x and g of x together. Yeah, you're like, oh, why is it so easy? It's okay. We can also write this as f plus g of x. Those means the same thing. If you want to put the parenthesis, probably that's a better way of doing it. What about the difference? Yeah, f of x minus g of x. So f minus g of x means the same thing. Product, f of x times g of x equal to f times g of x. Now be careful. You learn about something looks like this with the open circle in the middle. That's a compositional function. We're going to do that on next skill. Don't get confused. Multiplication is literally just a dot. Now the quotient, dividing g of x. So I can write it as f divided by g of x. Now with the quotient, we need to be careful, right? Because dividing, we can also write it as a fraction. Yay? Yay. What do you need to be careful about the fraction? That your denominator cannot be equal to 0. So you always need to remember that. Cool? Alright, so let's look at the example. Let f of x dot g of x dot evaluate the following. Alright, so first, f plus g of x. So we are adding f of x and g of x together. So add it literally. There's my f of x. There's my g of x. Let's go ahead and add it. Combine the like terms. X squared plus x plus 1 minus 1 is 0. That's it. What would be your domain? Well, this is literally just adding quadratic and linear. Both have a domain of all real numbers. So domain, all real numbers. Cool. Next, f divided by g of x. So we are finding the quotient, right? So this is f of x divided by g of x. So let's plug it in. X plus 1 over x squared minus 1. Before I forget, remember we said denominator cannot be 0. I'm going to make a big note here. It says my denominator cannot be equal to 0. And then use make more detailed information about that after I'm done with this problem. So, how am I going to go? Are you like itchy to do something? You should. Alright, what should we do? You should probably factor your denominator, right? So how do you factor x squared minus 1? Isn't this x squared minus 1 squared, difference of 2 squares? So x plus 1 times x minus 1. And then notice x plus 1, boop, boop. So I get 1 over x minus 1 as a simplified answer. Now, let's not forget about this. X squared minus 1 should not be equal to 0. In other words, x plus 1 times x minus 1 should not be equal to 0. X should not be equal to negative 1. X should not be equal to 1. Therefore, how do I find my domain? I'm going to write this in interval notation. Negative infinity to negative 1. Union negative 1 to 1. Union 1 to positive infinity. Alright, very, very good. Now please stop it and then do the next problems on Delta Math and come back.